is Monday, everyone, and welcome to After Action Report, your numbers recap show for all Schmoedown matches to keep you caught up on all the action. As always, I am Megs, your host, here with Nat. How are you doing today, sir?
Fantastic, Megs. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. A little bit of a dreary day today, but we get to talk about stats. We get to talk about the Schmoedown, so it is an excellent day. So we're going to be recapping all the matches from this week, including the Battlefield pay-per-view. So if you're not a $10 patron and have not seen that match, or you did not purchase tickets through the schmoedownlive.com, consider this spoilers. We are going to go through those matches and break them down completely by the numbers. But without further ado, here is what we're going to be looking at for this week. Last week we had, starting off, an IG match between Brandon Hanna and Robert Parker. Parker coming back after us last seeing him back in the tournament last season, and Hanna coming back from a very impressive match against Eric Zipper just a couple weeks ago. And then we had the return of teams with our mini teams tournament here. We had 2 round 1 matches between Lightning Time and the Outsiders and Rushmore and Press Room. And then we round out the week with our Battlefield matches with a undercard of Marisol McKee versus Video Drew, and the main event, the #1 IG contender match against Mike Kalinowski and Alex Damon. Thank you all so much who are joining us here live in the chat. Be sure to hit that like button as you come in, and if you'd like, go ahead and add some comments in this video so we can keep this show going and that you guys can give us any ideas that you have moving forward. So without further ado, Nat, let's go ahead and hop in here to our first match. We had Brandon the Hitman Hanna against Robert the Spider Parker. Starting out, we had them being tied at 11, both of them going perfect, including the bonus. Going here into round 2, Hanna decides to spin first. He spins away from Marvel and ends up taking Star Wars, where he ends up going 5 out of 10, checking down to multiple choice 3 times and giving up 2 multiple choice option steals, which Parker is able to take for 2 points. And then we go over to Parker's turn, who decides to take Planet of the Apes on his first spin and sweeps the round for the full 10 for 10, which now puts Parker up by 7, 23-16, going into the third round, where Hanna hits a 2-pointer in Batman, but misses a 3 and a 5-pointer in Heroes and Alien and Predator, which does give Parker the win via TKO with a final score of 23-18. Where we had Brandon Hanna answering 15 of 19 questions for 79% accuracy and scored 58% of 31 available points, where Robert Parker answered 18 of 18 questions, 100% accuracy, and scored 100% of 23 available points. So going another 100 for 100 here for Parker, an impressive return back to form after suffering a loss against Chance in the IG tournament last season. Nat, what were your thoughts, especially considering Hanna's performance against Zipper last season or earlier in this season, and then seeing Parker come back, having been so highly touted as a rookie, and then suffering a little stumble there at the middle of the season?
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm probably going to bring up fantasy again, but first of all, it's so hard to watch 2 people that you like. I'm drop the character for a second. I know like C2A has a feud with Brandon Hanna, but I really like Brandon Hanna. We've had him on No Chill. He's on my fantasy team. I was really hoping that he would hit a winning streak, but I also really like Robert Parker. He's been on Twitch Tuesdays, which is no one but us goes on Twitch Tuesdays. But especially after his win over Eric Zipper, that was such a great match. That was probably one of my favorite matches of the year, if not, well, it was that and the Star Wars match is up for my favorite match. To come off that win and to get thrown into the fire pit with Robert Parker, that's such a tough test. And I think he played really well. But Robert Parker, man, I think this is his year. 100% accuracy. He got all the points that were available to him. I think this might be his year.
It very well could be. Definitely really impressed with what Parker was able to do here right out of the gate. And only other thing I could say here is Star Wars has not been kind to Brandon Hanna in the Schmoedown. I don't know what it is between some 5-pointers that he's missed and some stumbles he had here with Star Wars there in round 2. I don't know what it is. There's an unlikely, not pretty pattern that I'm seeing. But again, very impressed with both of these guys in general. Really hoping to see Hanna be able to push out of that, where he's kind of ranked right now, seems to be a little bit more of that middle tier, almost on the cusp of jumping into that top tier title contention consistently in title contention talks. But we shall have to wait and see. Hopefully we're going to be seeing some IG tournaments coming around the corner and hopefully see both of these guys in them. But let's go ahead and move over into our next match of the week, which is the start of another tournament, which is the teams tournament. It's a little mini gauntlet 8-team tournament here that we've got going on. Started off with Lightning Time, which is Liz Shannon Miller and Ethan Irwin against the Outsiders, Paul Peg Preston with Ben Goddard. So starting off for this match, these guys were tied at 13, where Liz and Ben got 6 and Paul and Ethan getting 7 each. So individual mirror scores there for these guys. And then we move into their second round, where Lightning Time defers over to the Outsiders, where the Outsiders spin away from dance, end up taking Jurassic Park and IG Slice, which proves to be a pretty strong contention there for them. They do go 10 out of 12 there, giving up a 1 2-point steal, which is not taken advantage of. So Lightning Time does not gain anything there. But we move over into Lightning Time's turn, where they take dance on the first spin. And they go 11 for 12, doing 1 multiple choice check down, which does give Lightning Time a gain of 1 point to be up 24-23 going into this third round, where it is back and forth the whole round. We see Ben with a 2-pointer in sports. Liz gets a 2-pointer in new releases. Paul hits his 3-pointer in biopics. Ethan hits his 3-pointer in fantasy sci-fi. And both teams hitting their 5-pointers, with Outsiders hitting in spy movies and Lightning Time getting romantic comedies, which does give Lightning Time the win with a final score of 34-33, where we saw Lightning Time answer 22 of 26 questions for 85% accuracy, scored 81% of 42 available points, while the Outsiders were able to answer 21 of 25 questions for 84% accuracy, scored 83% of 40 available points. This was probably my most anticipated match of this first round. That was a real pick-em. You couldn't quite get a feel for who was really going to have the upper hand. We knew that Liz Shannon Miller and Ethan Irwin were going to be good chemistry-wise. They had known each other for quite some time. Paul and Ben were kind of they're the top dogs over there at the Den right now, and we're really excited to see how they were able to work together. And overall, they were pretty evenly matched this entire game, and they were able to keep pace with each other, except for those little hiccups there in round 2.
Yeah, I mean, what a great match, right? I think that I had predicted Lightning Time would win because Ethan Irwin and Liz Shannon Miller is just so good. And especially, I was very excited to see Liz Shannon Miller in a team because I feel like her skill set is very, very weighted towards being a team's player. I think that her skill set is very complementary towards Ethan, especially when these two already know each other for a really long time. They have a good rapport, so the chemistry is already there. That said, I think that Paul Preston and Ben Goddard are very similar players in that people don't talk about them enough, but they're deceptively very good players. I think that just have a string of bad luck. But these are two very good players, and this match delivered on all fronts, down to the very last question. I think that's a testament to how good both these teams are. So I'm excited to see more of them for the future. I'm very excited to see Lightning Time's next match in the tournament. I think that one's going to be wild. It's going to be insane.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely want to see both of these teams get a chance to get some footing again in this season, especially, Lightning Time is continuing on in this tournament. But even the outsiders, hopefully they're able to remain a team and that we'll see them again in another team's tournament or in other teams' matches as we go along into the season, because definitely some high potential for both of these teams. Now, we're going to find...
Just real quick, I also think it's good that Paul Preston finally has a partner that he can, like, communicate with, like, not have to worry about character work. Because, like, last season, he had Tom, and they didn't really, like, bounce strategy off, especially during the digital era, and you can't really, you have to, like, stay in character. I think it's very good for him that he has Ben Goddard, who has a mind for strategy in this game. So I'm very excited to see what these two do in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome point. I think that definitely it is going to play to both of their strengths. There's, the differences in age as well with this combination and points of view, because, Goddard is going to come in with strong IG knowledge, with him spending time in IG, as well as Preston having some of those more classic film critic type information to come off with as well. So, yeah, definitely good point that Preston has someone that he can play off better and is able to lean on more and discuss strategy with. So very, very good point to bring up. So who are Lightning Time going to face next? Well, we find out the next day, where we had Rushmore against the Press Room. All four of these teams are on the same side of the bracket. So what we saw here, we have Rushmore, obviously, with JTE and John Roca, and Press Room being Perry Nemiroff, who definitely made some noise last season with coming back into the league, and newcomer Josh Horowitz, who is a big name inside of the interview community and Collider and many other outlets there. So a little bit of a rough start here in round one, where we had Rushmore actually being up by 7, 16-9, unfortunately, where JTE goes perfect, plus the bonus for 9 points. Roca comes away with 7 points. Perry only able to answer for 3 points, and Josh coming out with a respectable 6. But unfortunately, that does put them down into quite a deficit. But going into round 2, we have Rushmore deciding to spin first. And they take Action Adventure on the first spin, where they go 11 out of 12, checking down multiple choice just once. And Press Room answers with, they spin away from Robert De Niro, but they take comic book movies on their second spin, where they go respectively for 10 out of 12 points there, where they do give up a 1-2 point steal, which is not taken advantage of. So again, that 10 out of 12, which does give Rushmore a gain of 1 point to now be up 8, 27-19, going into that final round, which is a lofty deficit to come back from. Though Perry and Josh both hit their 2 and 3 pointer respectively in action adventure and musicals. However, they miss a 5 pointer in animated, which does give Rushmore the win via TKO with a final score of 27-24, where Rushmore answered 22 of 24 questions for 92% accuracy and scored 84% of 32 available points, while Press Room answered 16 of 25 questions for 64% accuracy and scored 60% of 40 available points. So fortunately, Press Room just could not recover from that round 2 deficit, despite actually having strong performances in both round 2 and round 3.
I mean, I think Perry is a very overlooked competitor. She didn't perform super well in round 1 this match, but like she beat Mike Kalinowski, who was a former number 1 contender. He was so close to Mike at 3 bouts. So I think that Perry is a very good competitor who just didn't have the best showing in round 1. I think the deficit in round 1 was too much to overcome for the Press Room, especially when you're playing Roca and JTE. That's like, you can't afford to make too many mistakes against them. Ben Rayner in the chat gives us a super chat, says, love the Rushmore team. So awesome to see 2 rivals joining up as a team together with JT and Roca. It's crazy to me because there was a point in time where these two were the most despicable people in the Schmoedown. It's like if Darth Vader and Voldemort decided to become a team. That's the star power here in this match. So I'm very excited to see Rushmore advance. But, I mean, I think that Perry and Josh both had a great showing I think that I'm looking forward to seeing them perform more as a team. It's just the deficit was just too much to overcome in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Considering, the caliber of player that you're up against, those sort of mistakes in round one, you're just not going to be able to recover out of. And especially knowing that likely if they had been pushed to their round three, Rushmore probably would have been able to overcome, even if Press Room had pushed them to it. That's just the type of caliber of player that you're talking about. Again, we're talking about two legends. And the fact that these two were such big rivals early in seasons, and to see them actually putting that aside and working together, and with Bob Finstock of all people as well, is just it's an OG Schmoedown watcher's dream to see these guys all back together again. Love them or hate them, character-wise, it's just cool to see.
And you can't really name your team Rushmore and then lose your first match. Like that's you're setting
would not have looked good.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't.
Would not have looked good. So Rushmore and Lightning Time will meet in the semifinals. And this week we will see what the other side of the bracket looks like. Super excited to see those teams all go off together. But final warning, we're going to be getting into Battlefield spoiler zone. So last chance. Haven't seen Battlefield yet. Get out while you can.
We don't want
Get out. But we're going to go into the undercard first, which was Marisol McKee against Video Drew. Getting into this first round, they were tied at 9, both going perfect, plus the bonus. Mm-hmm. Super awesome to see there. Moving over into the second round, we had Marisol deferring to Video Drew, who spins away from Kevin Hart and ends up taking SNL movies, which this is actually the second time that she's ended up with SNL movies. She's able to go 5 for 8, checks down to multiple choice twice, does give up one multiple choice question as a steal, which is not taken advantage of by Marisol. And it kicks over to Marisol's spin, who spins away from 2010s and ends up with Kevin Hart, where she goes 7 out of 8, checking down to multiple choice once, which gives Marisol the ability to go up by 2, 16 to 14 going into that final round, where we saw Video Drew missing her 2 and 3-pointer in comedies and modern classics, but she hits a 5 in romance. So she avoids the TKO there and bounces it back over to Marisol, who hits her 2 and her 3 in 1990s and disaster films, respectively, which does give her the win with a final score of 21 to 19, where Marisol McKee answered 15 of 16 questions for 94% accuracy and scored 91% of 23 available points, where Video Drew answered 13 of 16 questions for 81% accuracy and scored 70% of 27 available points. So neither of these ladies really putting in a poor performance. And I was very impressed with Video Drew's 5-point pull. That could have ended very badly, but she was able to pull that one and force Marisol to answer some questions there in round 3 to secure a win.
Yeah, the people in the Schmoedown community who are enlightened know that Video Drew has been putting in work. She's been studying so hard. So this one was a real toss-up for me on who to pick. Obviously, Marisol is extremely good. I think she's like 3 wins away from a title shot for this match.
Well, 2 away from 2 and away, because with the way that the singles is set up currently, the winner of this match goes up against Janine the Machine. Whoever wins that goes up against Kevin Smith in a number 1 contender match. So it's 2 wins, and then she gets a title shot, theoretically.
I'm excited about it. I hope one of these ladies win. And I just feel like this was a lot of bad luck that contributed to this loss. I think that Video Drew impressed me so. I think she said this is her second perfect round 1 in a row. I think she got a perfect round in this match, so that's very impressive. I wonder what would have happened if she kept Kevin Hart, because according to her, she got all of Marisol's questions right. So that could have been interesting. I think that this match, if certain things went a certain way, then either one of them could have picked up the win. But these are 2 very, very good competitors. So very good match. Yes,
absolutely. And again, just to looking at the breakdown of the score, had she been able to hit a 2 and 3, that 2 and 3 in round 3, it would have forced Marisol to answer her 5. Had she not been able to hit it, she would have won, and or it would have pushed them into overtime, which that would have been a crazy turn of events even more. So, but alas, McKee is going to advance on to facing the machine down the line. So we shall see which one of them is going to face Kevin Smith at the collision, which is going to be crazy. Let me tell you.
We're going to see if he's actually good enough.
We'll see what happens. He's had some, I like to say, his percentages are impressive. I will give him that. But he's got to start facing those higher tier competitors, and we'll see if he can keep up.
We talked about it on an earlier episode of AR about whether or not he deserves the number 1 contender match. I still stand by what I said. I think that they're making the right call, giving him a number 1 contenders match. But his next match, no matter who it is going to be a real test for him. So can't wait to see that.
Absolutely. Well, without further ado, let's shift on over to our main event for tonight, which is a number 1 contender match, but it was in the IG division, where we saw a rematch of Mike the Killer Kalinowski against Alex the Demon Damon, where we saw, coming into this round 1 here, we had Kalinowski being up by 4, 11-7, going perfect, including the bonus. Shift on over to round 2, where Kalinowski decides to spin first, ends up with opponent's choice, and he is given Who Said It. Despite that, he is able to get 9 out of 10 points, checking down multiple choice once. Damon responds by taking Animated on his first spin, where he goes 8 for 10, checking down to multiple choice once, and giving up that opportunity as a steal, which Mike is not able to pick up on. So Kalinowski does gain 1 point to be up by 5, 20-15 going into that third round, where Damon hits a 2-pointer in TMNT, misses a 3-pointer in Batman, but hits a 5-pointer in graphic novels. Very impressive pull on that one. And that bounces it back over to Kalinowski, who hits a 2 and 3 in Backs to the Future and Mixed Bag, respectively, giving him the win with a final score of 25-22, where Mike Kalinowski answered 18 of 19 questions for 95% accuracy, scored 93% of 27 available points, and Alex Damon answered 13 of 18 questions for 72% accuracy and scored 71% of 31 available points. So, much better outcome as far as just the layout of how things went as opposed to their last time, where I believe Kalinowski KO'd Damon. Yeah. Definitely a showing growth of Damon as a competitor from last season, because this very well could have ended up being a TKO given the deficits that he was dealing with going into that final round. But Kalinowski is in top form right now. 95% accuracy, that is getting up there with that high top tier title contention that he is often attributed with. Damon, on the other hand, is still, while he's still kind of in that middle tier, he's approaching that high tier of the middle, where he could very easily be in title contention on a consistent basis, depending on what he is able to concentrate on. Also, given the fact that he has to try and get back his Star Wars belt this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that he is so dominant in Star Wars, it's even more impressive to me that he is as good as he is in Inner Geekdom. But Mike Kalinowski, I understand that he's a multiple-time Inner Geekdom champion. But I think this might be the best Kalinowski that we've ever seen in Inner Geekdom. I think that we've seen competitors have trouble with the new categories a lot because last season they were solely focused on the list of Inner Geekdom categories. Mike Kalinowski was a singles and a teams competitor. So he is already watching all these other movies. I think that he is someone who's going to thrive with these new categories, with the new Inner Geekdom. I mean, he was a former champion, but I think he's covered up his weaknesses really well. We've covered him on AAA Live, but we talked about his weaknesses extensively. He seems to have fixed those problems, and I think this Mike Kalinowski is very scary. he often gets overlooked, and which is ridiculous because he's Mike Kalinowski. He was a former champion, and he's only lost to like legitimate, really really good top tier competitors. So it's crazy to me that he's even better now.
Yeah, for sure. He is definitely hyper focused right now, which is good. When he is focused, when he is locked into IG, he is a scary competitor to watch. And this was a rematch from last season. We're going to get a rematch, the rubber match that has been years in the making. Mike Kalinowski against current IG champion, Mara Kanabik.
Oh, I can't wait for that. And also, not to sing Mike Kalinowski's praises too much, but he has almost a 95% accuracy with opponent's choice.
Mm-hmm.
The most dreaded category in all of Intergeekdom. That is ridiculous. Because who said it could be anything? Like, you have to like pay attention to the dialogue of the movie. You have to actually watch the movie to get it. That is so impressive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely was it was good to see Kalinowski being able to navigate those categories. There were a couple DC quotes in there, which were a little more in his wheelhouse, but even still, fair is fair. It's a mixed bag, essentially, of quotes, so you never really know what you're going to end up with. So he navigated that very well. Again, super excited to see him go up against Mara down the line. Definitely, she's going to have her hands full if he is remaining to be in this form of competitor for sure. But that is all the matches we had for this week, which last week was amazing. This week it is Star Wars Bookends, which is going to be super exciting. We have the start of the Star Wars tournament. And like I said, we also have 2 more matches in the teams tournament, which will complete out this first round. And then the throwdown event is going to end. We're going to end with Alex Damon again going up against Dimolanta to try and get that Star Wars title back. Nat, what are your thoughts about this rematch?
What are my thoughts? I mean, I don't think I'm ready. Like,
I was so questions
at the first match. Like, I can't even imagine actually competing. Like, I was tired just watching it. Like, I don't know who's gonna win, but I've never doubted Andrew Dimolanta in the past. I'm not gonna start now, but Alex Damon can beat anybody. So it's gonna be a good match. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Super excited to be diving into all the matches for this week. And as always, you can come back next Monday to watch us recap all those matches as well as anything else crazy that happens during the week in the stats world. Also, don't forget to like and comment on this video as well as subscribe to this channel if you're not already so that you can get notified of all the great things that we're doing here on the channel. Be sure to check out Call Live, where they do break down the matches a little more in detail as far as storylines, what happens during the match, more than just the numbers that we tend to concentrate on here. Nat, what else is going on in the channel that you can talk about for this week?
Oof. Okay, there's a lot going on this week. So tomorrow we have Twitch Tuesdays, which I will not be on, and Dylan will not be on. So I think it's Billy Belford.
Oh boy.
With someone else. I'm not sure who's going to be on that. So check that out, 6 p.m. PT. And also, I am very happy to announce that. Well, you all saw No Chill with Sabrina Ramirez. If you haven't, you should check it out. It's amazing. I'm very proud of it. But there's going to be a very quick turnaround. So tomorrow for Star Wars Day, May the 4th, we will be having another No Chill for the month of May. It's going to be Sean the St. Sullivan. So that should be a really good one. Check it out. We are going to be posting. I'm not sure what time we're going to be posting it, but it's going to be tomorrow.
Awesome. That'll be excellent. And also, yes, Kramer, super excited. The undercard in the throwdown match is going to be Peggy Gubbins, Rick Rager Radis, 2 rookies that we've already talked about from earlier this year. That is going to be quite an entertaining match to be sure. So be sure if you're not at that $10 tier on Schmoedown Patreon, or if you have not gotten tickets, be sure that you do that. These matches are ones you don't want to miss in real time. But for now, that will do it for this week. For Nat and the entire C2A crew, I'm Megs, and this has been After Action Report, signing off.